I stared at the receipt on our kitchen counter, my hand trembling as I picked it up. Tiffany & Co., a diamond necklace worth more than our monthly mortgage payment. The thing was, I hadn't received any jewelry from my husband lately. My name is Sienna, and until tonight, I thought I had my life perfectly mapped out. I'm a mortgage broker, the kind of person who helps others secure their dream homes while making sure their finances don't turn into nightmares. The irony of what was about to happen wasn't lost on me. "Chloe, honey, dinner's ready." I called upstairs to my daughter, trying to keep my voice steady. The lasagna I'd made was getting cold, but that receipt burned hot in my pocket. The front door opened, and Terrence walked in, loosening his tie. 16 years of marriage had taught me his routines, but lately, something had been off. The late nights at the office, the mysterious phone calls, the password changes on his phone. "Smells good in here," he said, not meeting my eyes. "Found something interesting today while doing laundry," I said, pulling out the receipt. "Care to explain?" His face changed. Not surprise, not guilt, just relief. "I was going to tell you tonight anyway." "Tell me what?" My voice cracked despite my best efforts. "Her name is Serena." He said it so casually, like he was discussing the weather. "She's been working in accounting for about a year now." The room started spinning. "You bought her a necklace?" "Sienna, let's be adults about this. We both know things haven't been great." "Adults?" I laughed, the sound harsh and foreign. "Adults don't sneak around behind their families' backs." Footsteps on the stairs made us both turn. Chloe stood there, her phone in hand, confusion written across her face. "Mom? Dad? What's going on?" "Nothing, sweetie," I started, but Terrence cut me off. "Actually, Chloe, your mother and I need to talk to you. There are going to be some changes." I grabbed his arm. "Don't you dare." "I've sold the house," he announced. The words hit like a physical blow. "You what?" "The papers were signed this morning. We have a week to move out." Chloe's phone clattered to the floor. "But my school, my friends." "The buyer made an excellent offer," Terrence continued, as if he were discussing a business transaction. "It's better this way. Clean break." "Clean break?" I stepped toward him, fury replacing shock. "This is our home, Chloe's home. You had no right." "I had every right. My name's on the deed too, remember? You're the mortgage broker. You should know how these things work." Chloe ran back upstairs, her sobs echoing through the house. I wanted to go after her, but I couldn't move. "Where are we supposed to go?" I demanded. "You'll figure something out. You're good at planning, aren't you?" He grabbed his briefcase. "I'll be staying at Serena's. We can sort out the details through our lawyers." "Lawyers? You've already filed for divorce?" "Yes." He headed for the door, then paused. "Don't make this harder than it needs to be, Sienna. It's better for everyone this way." The door closed behind him with a quiet click. I stood there, staring at the lasagna getting cold on the table, set for 3 people who would never eat together again. My phone buzzed. A text from my brother, Youssef. "Hey sis, you okay? Chloe just called me crying." I couldn't reply, couldn't move, couldn't breathe. Another buzz. This time from my bank app. A notification about a large transfer from our joint account. My hands shook as I logged in, only to find the account nearly empty. Upstairs, I could hear Chloe crying. My daughter, who had dreams of attending an elite university next year. My daughter, whose college fund was in that joint account. My daughter, whose entire world had just been upended by her father's selfishness. Something snapped inside me. The shock gave way to a cold, clear anger. Terrence thought he had it all figured out. His young girlfriend, his clean break, his fresh start. He thought I would just roll over and accept it. He was wrong. I climbed the stairs to Chloe's room, knocking softly before entering. She lay curled up on her bed, clutching her childhood teddy bear. "Mom?" Her voice was small, scared. "What are we going to do?" I sat beside her, stroking her hair. "We're going to fight back," I said, my voice stronger than I felt. "Your father thinks he's won, but he has no idea who he's dealing with. But the house is just a building." I pulled her close. "Home is wherever we make it, honey. And I promise you, we're going to make something better than this." I didn't know how yet, but I knew one thing for certain. Terrence Riley was about to learn that hell hath no fury like a woman with nothing left to lose. Mom, what are you looking for? Chloe asked, watching me tear through another box in our attic. 3 days had passed since Terrence's bombshell, and we were supposed to be packing, not creating more mess. Your grandmother's papers, I muttered, pushing aside old photo albums. She always said she had something important to tell me, but then she got sick so suddenly. Dad's lawyer called again, Chloe said quietly. He wants us to sign something about the house. I wiped sweat from my forehead, leaving a streak of dust. Well, he can wait. I'm not signing anything until... My hand struck something solid. Hello, what's this? Behind a stack of Christmas decorations sat a metal lockbox I'd never seen before. It had my grandmother Mia's name engraved on top. Can you open it? Chloe knelt beside me, suddenly interested. If I can remember, I tried a few combinations. Her birthday, mine, the year she bought her house. Nothing worked. Then I tried the date she always celebrated as her Freedom Day, though she never told me why. The lock clicked. Inside, beneath a stack of yellowed papers, lay a letter addressed to me in my grandmother's elegant handwriting. My hands shook as I opened it. Dear Sienna, if you're reading this, I'm no longer here to tell you this story in person. Remember the land I used to take you to when you were little? The one with the old oak tree where we'd have picnics? That land is yours now, has been since the day you were born. Your grandfather tried to take everything from me when he left, just like he took my dignity. But I was smarter than he knew. I bought that land in secret, using money I'd saved from my cleaning jobs. It was my insurance policy, my way of making sure no man could ever leave me with nothing again. Now it's your insurance policy. The deed is in this box, along with all the paperwork. The land has been paid off for decades. Use it wisely, my dear girl. Sometimes the best revenge is simply proving them wrong. Love, Grandma Mia. Mom? Chloe touched my arm. You're crying. I wiped my eyes and pulled out the deed with trembling hands. 30 acres of land, just outside the city limits. Land that, according to recent development plans I'd seen at work, was now in a prime location. My phone rang. Youssef. Sis, I've been doing some digging, he said when I answered. You're not going to believe this, but Terrence is in trouble. Big trouble. What kind of trouble? The kind that involves gambling debts and borrowed money. That's why he sold the house so fast. He needed quick cash. I sat back against a box, my mind racing. The joint account. Probably gone for the same reason. Listen, I know a guy in the DA's office. If you want to press charges... No, I said, looking at the deed in my hand. I have a better idea. After hanging up, I made another call, one I never thought I'd make. Nora Benson's office. A crisp voice answered. Nora, it's Sienna. I know we've had our differences, but I need your help. Silence on the other end. Nora and I had been rivals for years, competing for the same clients in the real estate market. She was sharp, ruthless, and exactly what I needed right now. This about Terrence? She asked. Word travels fast in this business. Actually, it's about 30 acres of prime development land. Another pause. You have my attention. I'll make you a deal. Help me develop this land, and I'll give you exclusive listing rights on every property we build. Meet me at Carlo's in an hour, she said. Bring the paperwork. I hung up and looked at Chloe, who had been listening intently. What are you planning? She asked. Remember how Dad always said women don't understand real estate? That we should leave the big decisions to him? I stood up, clutching the deed. Well, we're about to prove him very, very wrong. But what about college? My school? I pulled her into a hug. Trust me, honey, this land is worth far more than what your father took from us. We just need to be smart about it. An hour later, I sat across from Nora at Carlo's, spreading out the paperwork. She studied the documents, her eyes widening. This location, she whispered, the city's planning a major development project right next door. If we move fast, we could make enough to secure Chloe's future and then some, I finished. Nora looked up at me, a slow smile spreading across her face. You know who else has been trying to buy land in that area? Terrence's new company. They've been desperate to get a foothold there. Have they now? I sipped my coffee, feeling a plan take shape. Tell me more. This is going to be fun, Nora said, pulling out her phone. I'm canceling my afternoon appointments. We have work to do. For the first time since Terrence's announcement, I felt something other than despair. I felt powerful. Grandmother Mia had given me more than land. She'd given me a chance to write my own ending to this story, and I intended to make it a good one. You want to do what? Nora leaned forward across her pristine desk, her eyes wide with disbelief. We'd been working together for 2 days now, and I'd just shared my complete vision for the land. Mixed-use development, I repeated, spreading out the rough sketches I'd made. Affordable housing units, a community center, and small business spaces. Not just another soulless luxury complex. The profit margins would be smaller, she warned, but I could see the gleam of interest in her eyes. But the impact would be bigger. I pulled up the zoning regulations on my tablet. Look, the city's already offering tax incentives for this kind of development. Plus, it's exactly what the neighborhood needs. A knock at the door interrupted us. Yusef poked his head in, carrying 3 cups of coffee. Thought you ladies might need a refill. Any progress? Your sister's either crazy or brilliant, Nora said, accepting a cup. Maybe both. That's what I've been saying for years. He grinned, then turned serious. By the way, Sienna, I just saw Terrence at the courthouse. He was with his lawyer and Serena. My stomach clenched, but I kept my voice steady. How did they look? Like they own the world. He was bragging about some big development deal he's working on. Nora's phone buzzed. She glanced at it and smiled. Speaking of deals, my contact at the Planning Commission just confirmed something interesting. Terrence's company has already invested heavily in the properties surrounding your grandmother's land. They're counting on acquiring that exact plot to make their project viable. Which means they're probably the ones who'll bid highest when we put it on the market, I said, the pieces falling into place. If we put it on the market, Nora corrected, her smile turning predatory. But what if we don't? What if we develop it ourselves? Yusef whistled. That would completely derail their plans. Exactly. I stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the city skyline. Terrence always said I didn't understand the big picture. Time to prove him wrong. You'll need investors, Nora pointed out. Strong ones, and fast. Already working on it. Yusef pulled out his phone. Remember my friend Marcus from business school? He's been looking to diversify his portfolio. Said he'd meet us tomorrow. Perfect. I turned back to them. But first we need to visit the land. I want to show you exactly what I'm thinking. An hour later, we stood under the old oak tree where my grandmother used to bring me for picnics. The late afternoon sun cast long shadows across the overgrown field. It's perfect, Nora breathed, turning in a slow circle. The elevation, the access points. We could create something special here. My phone rang. Chloe's number. Mom? Her voice was shaky. Dad just came by the house. He wanted me to convince you to sign some papers. Said it would make everything easier. What did you tell him? I told him to leave. Then Serena tried to talk to me, acting all nice, saying how she hopes we can be friends someday. She made a disgusted sound. As if. That's my girl. I felt a surge of pride. How's the packing going? Actually, Aunt Sarah said I can stay with her until we figure things out. She lives in the same school district. Really? Put her on. My sister-in-law's voice came on the line. Don't worry, Sienna. We've got plenty of room, and the girls would love having Chloe here. Take the time you need to sort this out. Relief flooded through me. One problem solved. After hanging up, I noticed Nora studying some documents on her tablet. What is it? Just found something interesting in the public records, she said slowly. Terrence's company, they're leveraged to the hilt on this deal. If they can't acquire this land, they'll be in serious trouble, Yusef finished. More than trouble, Nora corrected. They could lose everything they've invested so far. Millions. I walked to the old oak tree, running my hand along its rough bark. Grandmother Mia used to say that karma works in mysterious ways. Speaking of karma, Yusef said, guess who just pulled up? A sleek black BMW was parking at the edge of the property. Terrence stepped out, followed by Serena. They hadn't noticed us yet. Well, Nora murmured. This should be interesting. I squared my shoulders and walked toward them, Nora and Yusef flanking me. Terrence's confident smile faltered when he saw us. Sienna, what are you doing here? Funny, I said, keeping my voice light. I was about to ask you the same thing. This is private property. I'm here to discuss a business opportunity, he said stiffly. Really? I pulled the deed from my bag. With whom? Because according to this, I'm the owner, and I'm not interested in selling. The color drained from his face as he realized what I was holding. Behind him, Serena looked confused. Terrence? She asked. What's going on? I smiled, channeling every ounce of confidence my grandmother had passed down to me. Yes, Terrence. Why don't you explain what's going on? The game was about to change, and for once I was holding all the cards. You can't be serious about this development plan, Marcus said, leaning back in his chair at the crowded conference room. 5 other potential investors sat around the table, all men in expensive suits, all wearing similar expressions of doubt. I assure you, I'm very serious, I replied, clicking to the next slide in my presentation. The numbers speak for themselves. The numbers are impressive, another investor, David, interjected, but mixed-use development, affordable housing, it's not exactly premium. Nora stepped forward. Actually, our market research shows... Listen, Marcus cut her off. Maybe we should wait to discuss this with your husband. Is he involved in the project? I felt my face flush with anger, but before I could respond, the conference room door opened. Yusuf walked in, impeccable in his tailored suit. Sorry I'm late, he said, taking a seat. Traffic was terrible. Please, continue. And you are? Marcus asked. Yusuf Wolf, senior financial analyst at Goldman Sachs. He smiled pleasantly. Also, my sister's business partner in this venture. You were saying something about her husband? The room's atmosphere shifted subtly. I clicked to the next slide. As I was explaining, gentlemen, this development will generate a 22% return on investment within the first 3 years. The city's tax incentives alone will cover 15% of our initial costs. Plus, Nora added, we already have commitments from 3 major retailers for the commercial spaces. David leaned forward. Which retailers? I'm afraid that's confidential until the contracts are signed, I said smoothly. But I can tell you they're all Fortune 500 companies. My phone buzzed. A text from Chloe. Dad's here again, being weird. Says he needs to talk to you urgently. I typed back quickly. Stay at Aunt Sarah's. I'll handle it. When I looked up, Marcus was studying the financial projections with newfound interest. These numbers for the affordable housing units, they're guaranteed by the state? Yes, Yusuf confirmed. And the waiting list is already over 200 families long. One more thing, I added, pulling out a folder. This morning, we received preliminary approval for additional tax credits under the Urban Development Initiative. The investors exchanged glances. David cleared his throat. Perhaps we were too hasty in our initial assessment. I should hope so, Nora said dryly, because as of an hour ago, we received another offer for partnership. Full funding, no questions asked. This wasn't strictly true, but they didn't need to know that. Marcus sat up straighter. From whom? I'm afraid that's confidential, I smiled, but their offer expires at 5 p.m. today. The meeting wrapped up 30 minutes later, with 3 of the investors requesting private follow-up discussions. As they filed out, Yusuf high-fived me. That was brilliant, he grinned. The fake competing offer? Classic. Who says it was fake? Nora winked. I've been making calls all morning. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Terrence. What do you want? I answered coldly. We need to talk, he said, his voice tense. About the land. My investors are getting nervous. Your investors? I laughed. That sounds like a you problem. Damn it, Sienna. You have no idea what you're doing. This is bigger than your petty revenge. Petty revenge. I felt my voice rise. You sold our house without telling me. You emptied our accounts. You betrayed our family. And you think this is about petty revenge? Silence on his end. Let me be clear, I continued. I know exactly what I'm doing, and I know exactly how much trouble you're in with your investors. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to transfer Chloe's college fund back into my account, all of it, by the end of today. Or what? Or tomorrow morning, I start construction on a community center, right in the middle of your luxury development plans. You wouldn't. Try me. I hung up and turned to find Nora and Yusuf staring at me. Remind me never to get on your bad side, Yusuf said. Nora checked her watch. The contractors are ready to break ground whenever we give the word. Are we really doing this? I walked to the window, looking out at the city. Somewhere out there, Terrence was probably pacing in his office, realizing just how badly he'd underestimated me. Yes, I said. But first, let's give him until the end of the day to make things right with Chloe's college fund. After that, I turned back to them with a smile. We start building something beautiful. Speaking of beautiful, Yusuf said, checking his phone, wait until you see what the architects just sent over. The community center designs are incredible. As we gathered around his phone to look at the plans, I felt a surge of pride. This wasn't just about getting back at Terrence anymore. It was about creating something meaningful, something that would help families like mine build better futures. Grandmother Mia would have been proud. My phone buzzed one more time. A banking notification? Transfer received? I smiled. Terrence had made his choice. Now it was time to make mine. The morning sun cast long shadows across the land as I walked through the tall grass, coffee in hand. Construction would begin next week, but today I needed to say goodbye to this place as it was, wild and untamed, just like my grandmother had loved it. I thought I might find you here, a voice called out. I turned to see a young woman approaching hesitantly. Serena, if Terrence sent you— He didn't, she cut in quickly. Actually, he doesn't know I'm here. She wrapped her arms around herself, looking uncomfortable in her designer clothes among the wildflowers. I needed to talk to you, woman to woman. I gestured to a fallen log. Have a seat. She perched on the edge, fidgeting with her watch. The thing is, I'm starting to see a side of Terrence I didn't expect. Let me guess. The controlling side? The one that makes you feel like you're walking on eggshells? Her head snapped up. How did you— 16 years of marriage, I said simply. I know all his moves. Yesterday, he threw a glass against the wall because a deal fell through. She twisted her hands together. He said it was your fault, that you're trying to ruin him. I'm not trying to ruin anyone. I'm building something. The community center? She looked around. This is where it's going to be? I nodded. Among other things, want to see the plans? I pulled out my tablet, showing her the renderings. As we scrolled through them, I noticed something on her wrist, a fading bruise, partially covered by her bracelet. Did he do that? I asked quietly. She quickly pulled her sleeve down. It was an accident. He was stressed about the investors. Serena, I set the tablet down. There's something you should see. I led her to the old oak tree and pointed to a small metal box nestled in its roots. Inside were old photographs and letters. These belong to my grandmother, I explained, pulling out a yellowed envelope. She left them here for me to find. Want to know why? Serena nodded. Because my grandfather was just like Terrence. Charming in public, volatile in private. He controlled all their money, made all their decisions, until one day she'd had enough. What did she do? She got smart, started hiding money, making plans, bought this land without him knowing. I gestured around us. It became her freedom fund. But Terrence says he loves me, Serena whispered. He says once this deal goes through, everything will be perfect. And the bruise? Was that perfect too? She fell silent, staring at the ground. My phone rang. Nora. Turn on the news, she said without preamble. Channel 7. I pulled up the live stream on my tablet. Serena leaned in to watch. Breaking news in the financial sector, the anchor was saying. Major development company faces investigation for alleged fraudulent practices. Sources say the company's CEO, Terrence Riley, is being questioned about irregular fund transfers and misrepresented assets. Serena's face went pale. He told me those transfers were normal business operations. Let me guess, he asked you to sign some documents recently, as head of accounting? She nodded slowly. Oh, God. You need to protect yourself, I said, right now. I don't know how. Her voice cracked. Everything I have is tied to him, my apartment, my car. I might be able to help with that, I said, an idea forming. But first, you need to do something important. What? Tell the truth. To the investigators, to yourself, all of it. She touched her bruised wrist. I'm scared. I know, but you're stronger than you think. I handed her Yusuf's business card. My brother knows some good lawyers. They can help protect you legally. Why are you helping me? She asked. I'm the other woman. You should hate me. Hate doesn't build anything worthwhile, I said, thinking of my grandmother. Besides, looks like we were both fooled by the same man. My phone buzzed again. Chloe this time. Mom, did you see the news? Dad's company is imploding. I saw, honey. You okay? Are you kidding? I'm great. Jessica's dad is a reporter. He says Dad might go to jail. I looked at Serena, who was already dialing the number on Yusuf's card. Let's not celebrate too soon, I told Chloe. Focus on your studies. I'll handle everything else. After hanging up, I watched Serena walk away, her shoulders straighter, her step more determined. She had taken the first step toward her own freedom, just like my grandmother had done decades ago. I touched the rough bark of the oak tree, imagining Grandmother Mia standing here, planning her escape, building her future. She'd turned this land into something more than dirt and grass. She'd made it a symbol of resilience. Now it was my turn to build something meaningful on this foundation, not out of hate or revenge, but out of hope for something better. My phone lit up with another news alert about Terrence's company. The house of cards was finally falling, but I was too busy planning tomorrow to watch it crash. The investors are ready, Nora announced, straightening my blazer as we stood outside the conference room. All 7 of them. Even Marcus brought additional backers. Through the glass walls, I could see them gathered around the large table, reviewing our proposal documents. The stakes had never been higher. You've got this, Yusuf whispered, giving my shoulder a squeeze. Remember what we practiced. I took a deep breath and pushed open the door. The room fell silent. Good morning, I said, my voice steady. Thank you all for coming. Before we begin, I have some updates to our original proposal. If this is about the recent news regarding your husband's company, Marcus began, but I cut him off. This isn't about Terrence. This is about making something better. I clicked to the first slide. We've secured 3 additional retail commitments and increased our projected return by 4%. David leaned forward. The community center designs have been approved by the city council. Nora jumped in, distributing updated renderings, with expedited permits. A murmur of approval rippled through the room. I was about to continue when my phone buzzed. Serena's name flashed on the screen. Excuse me, I said, stepping out. I need to take this. Sienna? Serena's voice was shaking. I just finished talking to the FBI. They want me to testify against Terrence. Are you okay? No. Yes. I don't know. They showed me documents, things I signed without reading properly. I could be implicated if I don't cooperate. Listen to me, I said firmly. You're doing the right thing. Have you spoken with the lawyer Yusuf recommended? Yes, she's here with me now. But Terrence keeps calling, threatening to... A commotion in the conference room caught my attention. Through the glass, I saw the investors standing, pointing at their phones. I have to go, I told Serena. Call me later, and Serena, stay strong. I rushed back inside to find everyone watching a breaking news alert on their devices. Major development company CEO arrested on fraud charges, Marcus read aloud. Multiple properties frozen pending investigation, including the land surrounding your grandmother's property, Nora whispered to me. I cleared my throat. Gentlemen, this changes nothing about our proposal. In fact, it makes our project even more vital to the community. How so? David asked. Those frozen properties? They were meant to be luxury condos. Now they'll sit empty, tying up valuable land in legal battles. I clicked to a new slide. But our project? We can break ground next week, create jobs, housing, opportunities. The optics would be fantastic, one investor mused. While others are caught in scandal, we'd be building something the community actually needs. Exactly. I pulled up our budget projections, and with the reduced competition, our profit margins just got even better. My phone buzzed again. Chloe this time. I ignored it, focusing on the investors' questions. 20 minutes later, Marcus stood up. I think we've seen enough, he said. We're in. Full funding, immediate timeline. The others nodded in agreement. As they filed out, sharing handshakes and congratulations, I finally checked Chloe's message. Dad just came to Aunt Sarah's. He's drunk making scenes. Police are here. I showed the message to Yusuf, who immediately grabbed his keys. I'll handle it. You finish here. After he left, Nora poured 2 cups of coffee from the conference room carafe. Someday, huh? It's not over yet. I sipped the coffee, grimacing at its bitterness. We still need to... The door burst open. Terrence stumbled in, his tie askew, eyes wild. You did this, he slurred, pointing an unsteady finger at me. You turned Serena against me, ruined everything. You did that all by yourself, I replied calmly, though my heart was racing. Now please leave before I call security. Security? He laughed harshly. I built this whole damn city. You think some rent-a-cop can stop me from what? Nora stepped between us. From adding assault to your growing list of charges? He took a step forward, but 2 security guards appeared in the doorway, followed by Yusuf. There he is, officers, Yusuf said to the police officers behind him, the one causing a disturbance at my sister's house. Terrence's face crumpled as the officers approached. Sienna, please, we can fix this, together, like before. I walked up to him, close enough to smell the whiskey on his breath. No, Terrence, there is no we anymore. You made sure of that when you betrayed our family. Ma'am, one officer asked, would you like to press charges? I looked at the man I'd once loved, now swaying and defeated. No, he's not worth the paperwork. Just get him out of here. As they led him away, Nora squeezed my arm. You okay? Better than okay. I turned to the window, where construction equipment was already arriving at the edge of my grandmother's land. We have work to do. My phone buzzed one last time. A message from Serena. Thank you for showing me what strength looks like. I smiled, watching the sun set over what would soon become something beautiful, something worth building. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the groundbreaking ceremony of Hope Gardens Community Development, I announced, standing before the crowd gathered around my grandmother's oak tree. 3 months had passed since Terrence's arrest, and everything had changed. Chloe beamed from the front row, her phone recording everything. Next to her sat Serena, looking healthier and more confident in casual clothes, her designer wardrobe long forgotten. This project represents more than just buildings, I continued. It represents second chances, new beginnings, and the power of community. As I picked up the ceremonial shovel, my hand trembled slightly. Nora stepped forward, placing her hand over mine. Together, she whispered. We pushed the shovel into the earth as cameras flashed. Behind us, bulldozers stood ready to begin the real work. Mom! Chloe rushed forward after the ceremony, hugging me tight. That was amazing. And guess what? I just got an email from Stanford. My heart stopped. And? She thrust her phone at me, jumping up and down. Early acceptance, full scholarship. Tears welled in my eyes as I read the acceptance letter. All those nights of worry about her college fund, all the fear about her future, gone. Congratulations, Serena said, approaching cautiously. I brought something you might want to see. She handed me a newspaper. The headline read, Local developer pleads guilty to fraud charges. Below was a photo of Terrence being led into court. 10 years, Serena said quietly. That's what they're recommending. I testified yesterday. How did it feel? I asked. Terrifying. Liberating. She smiled. The DA offered me immunity in exchange for my testimony. Said your evidence helped build their case. What evidence? Chloe asked. The transfer records your mother kept, Serena explained. Every suspicious transaction, every irregular payment. She documented everything. Always keep receipts, I winked at Chloe, especially when dealing with untrustworthy people. Yusuf jogged up, waving a stack of papers. Hot off the press, first batch of housing applications. We've got over 500 families interested already. Speaking of housing, Nora called from nearby. Sienna, you need to see this. She led us to where the old oak tree stood. Construction workers had discovered something while clearing the area around it. A small metal box, different from the one that had contained my grandmother's letters. Found it embedded in the trunk, one worker explained. Must have been there for decades. With shaking hands, I opened the box. Inside was a single photograph. My grandmother, young and beautiful, standing proudly in front of this very tree. On the back, she'd written, The Day I Chose Freedom, 1975. Look, Chloe pointed to the background of the photo. Isn't that the same view of the city? It is, I smiled, remembering all the stories grandmother Mia never got to tell me. And now we're building something she would have been proud of. Mrs. Riley? A voice called. I turned to see Marcus approaching with several other investors. It's Ms. Thompson now, I corrected. Back to my own name. Of course, my apologies. He gestured to the construction site. We've been discussing the project's next phase. Given the overwhelming response, we'd like to propose doubling the initial investment. Before I could respond, another commotion drew our attention. A sleek car had pulled up, and a woman in a business suit emerged. "That's the mayor," Nora whispered. "Ms. Thompson?" the mayor called out, walking briskly toward us. "I hope I'm not too late. I wanted to personally deliver this." She handed me an official-looking document. "The City Council unanimously approved your proposal for the educational grant program. Every family in Hope Gardens will have access to college savings accounts for their children." Chloe grabbed my arm. "Mom, do you realize what this means? Other kids like me, they won't have to worry about their futures being stolen." I hugged her close, watching as the construction crews began their work. The sound of machinery filled the air, but underneath it all, I could almost hear my grandmother's voice, telling me to be brave, to be smart, to be free. "Ms. Thompson?" Serena approached again, looking nervous. "I was wondering, there's an opening in your management team for the community center. I know my background is in accounting, but you want to help?" I smiled. "Good. We need people who understand the importance of second chances." As the sun began to set, I stood with Chloe under the old oak tree, watching the first foundations being laid. "You know what, Mom?" she said softly. "Dad always said revenge was for weak people. But this isn't revenge, is it? This is justice." "No, honey," I corrected her, thinking of all the families who would soon call this place home. "This is legacy." My phone buzzed. A text from Nora. "Wait till you see tomorrow's headlines. Hope Gardens, a community rises from fraud's ashes." I smiled, pocketing the phone. Let Terrence read that from his prison cell. We were too busy building something beautiful to care about his opinion anymore. "Ready?" Chloe asked, adjusting her graduation cap in the mirror. "Almost." I pinned a small photograph of grandmother Mia to the inside of her gown, right over her heart. "There, now she's with you too." We stood in Chloe's new bedroom at Hope Gardens, where we'd moved after the first phase of construction was completed. Through her window, I could see families enjoying the community park that had replaced the wild field. The old oak tree still stood proud at its center. "Mrs. Martinez's daughter got her college acceptance letter yesterday," Chloe said, watching children play below. "That's the 5th one this week." "6th, I corrected. "Don't forget Tommy from Building C." A knock at the door interrupted us. Nora poked her head in, waving an envelope. "Special delivery from the courthouse." My hands shook as I opened it. The final divorce decree, and full custody. "As if there was any doubt," Chloe snorted. "After what came out at his sentencing." "Speaking of which," Nora said, checking her phone, "Serena just texted. The support group for financial fraud survivors is packed tonight. She's really found her calling." Another knock. This time it was Youssef, looking sharp in his suit. "The car's ready. But first," he handed me a newspaper. Page 3. The headline read, "Hope Gardens model to be replicated nationwide." Below was a photo of our community center, bustling with activity. "They're calling it the Thompson model," Youssef grinned. "How's that for karma?" "Save the newspaper," I told him. "But we need to go. I don't want to be late for my daughter's graduation." The ceremony was held in the school auditorium, packed with proud families. As I watched Chloe walk across the stage, her honors cords gleaming, I felt a tap on my shoulder. "Excuse me," a woman whispered. "Are you Sienna, the one who built Hope Gardens?" I nodded. "My sister just moved in there with her kids, after her divorce." She squeezed my hand. "Thank you for showing us there's life after betrayal." Before I could respond, the principal announced, "And now, our valedictorian, Chloe Thompson." Chloe stepped up to the podium, confident and poised. When I was younger, my father told me that success meant having the biggest house, the most expensive car, the finest things. But then I watched my mother build something different, a community where success means lifting others up as you rise. My vision blurred with tears as she continued. "In Hope Gardens, I learned that true wealth isn't in bank accounts or stock portfolios. It's in the single mom who can finally afford to take night classes. It's in the kids who no longer have to change schools every time rent goes up. It's in the elderly couple who can retire with dignity in their own community." She paused, looking directly at me. "My mother taught me that when life knocks you down, you don't just get back up. You build stairs to help others rise too. That's what I'm taking with me to Stanford, and that's what I hope to bring back to our community when I return." After the ceremony, we gathered in the community center for a celebration. Families from Hope Gardens mingled with school friends and teachers. Serena was there too, helping serve cake to excited graduates. Sienna? She pulled me aside. There's something you should know. Terrence wrote to me from prison. My stomach tightened. What did he want? To apologize, and to ask if we could help him invest his prison earnings in Hope Gardens once he's released. She laughed bitterly, as if money could fix what he broke. What did you tell him? That Hope Gardens isn't built on revenge or redemption. It's built on respect, something he never understood. A commotion by the door drew our attention. Marcus and the other investors were arriving, carrying gift bags for the graduates. Still can't believe you turned down that buyout offer, Marcus said, handing Chloe a present. Could have made a fortune. We are making a fortune, I replied. Just not the kind you can count. Later that evening, I found Chloe sitting under the oak tree, still in her cap and gown. Found another one of Grandma Mia's notes, she said, holding up a weathered paper. It was tucked in a branch. Want to hear it? I sat beside her. Dear Sienna, she read, if you're reading this, you've already learned life's hardest lesson, that sometimes the things that break us become the foundations of something stronger. Don't waste time hating those who hurt you. Build something they can't tear down instead. Love, Grandma. I looked up at the buildings around us, at the lights and windows where families were building new lives, at the community center where dreams were taking root. We did it, Grandma, I whispered. We built something stronger. Chloe leaned her head on my shoulder. You know what's funny, Mom? Dad thought he was taking everything from us, but really, he gave us the push we needed to build everything we have now. Sometimes, I said, watching the sunset paint our community in gold, the best revenge is simply proving them wrong. And in the gentle evening breeze, I could have sworn I heard Grandmother Mia laugh in agreement.